the headlines. The Israeli military continues an offensive on Lebanon with airstrikes and a ground operation. As those strikes take place, Israel remembers a year after the Hamas attacks that killed more than 1,200 people. In Gaza, nearly 42,000 people have died since Israel began its operation. We look at the humanitarian crisis on the ground. Hurricane Milton strengthens to a Category 5 storm as it heads for Florida. There are warnings it could be the worst storm to hit Tampa in 100 years. And protecting the Earth from dangerous flying space rocks. A mission is launched to study an asteroid system. Now, Taylor Swift has passed Rihanna to become the world's richest female musician. Forbes magazine says she has a fortune of around $1.6 billion. The magazine says her Eras tour has been the biggest boost to her wealth. Rihanna became a billionaire thanks to cosmetics and fashion brands.
The head of MI5 warns that Russia and Iran are on a mission to cause mayhem on British streets. In a rare public speech, Ken McCallum says Britain is facing increased threats from Putin's henchmen, plot after plot from Iran and a resurgent Islamic State. Also tonight, hundreds of thousands flee as Hurricane Milton bears down on Florida. President Biden warns it could be the worst storm there for a century. Migration last year drove the fastest increase in the UK's population since records began. And the man known as the godfather of AI, the British-Canadian scientist Professor Geoffrey Hinton, is joint winner of the Nobel Prize for Physics.
Here are headlines today. As the war in the Middle East enters its second year, the Lebanese government says more than 400,000 people have now fled to neighbouring Syria to escape Israeli strikes.
A double-decker bus carrying more than 40 school children crashes in County Down. 4 children have been taken to hospital.
Water companies in England and Wales will find out later this morning if they will have to refund customers for failing to hit performance targets.
The actor David Jason reflects on his career, telling us about his hopes, his regrets, and why he can never escape from Del Boy.
I'm delighted in one way that it's reached so many people and they've enjoyed what I've done with the character. But I've done so many other things that everybody seems to have forgotten about. And I've only ever played Derek Trotter.
Good morning. We are months away from new rules that will see manufacturers, rather than the local council, pay for recycling like this. Now, the government says it will help fund a greener economy. Businesses say it will be them and you footing the bill.
Now, a Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet is going to be auctioned in London next month. Likely to make quite a lot of money, apparently.
Look at that. It could fetch up to £500,000.
Good grief. That's crazy, isn't it? It's one of the originals.
Oh,
that
no.
one, recognise that?
Oh, that's from the classic Gladiator. Did Russell Crowe ever wear that one? I bet he did.
Sweat included,
Ooh.
part of the price. That's among 2,000 other pieces of movie memorabilia up for sale in the same auction.
What do you think is going to be worth more then? A Gladiator helmet or a Star Wars helmet? Definitely Star Wars.
Star Wars, I reckon. £500,000?
That's a lot,
isn't
it?
I know, it's cold, but I mean...
I know. There are other versions of it out there,
just
I believe.
wear a bobble hat. Here, water companies in England and Wales are due to find out if they will be forced to refund customers for failing to hit targets. This comes ahead of a new report by the regulator Ofwat later today, which looks at how firms have performed in a number of areas.
Let's take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with The Guardian. Lots of the papers today reflecting on the one-year anniversary of the Hamas attacks on October the 7th. The Guardian has the headline, "The pain will never leave," as Israel held ceremonies yesterday to remember the victims who were killed and abducted at the Nova Music Festival.
Let's have a look at The Eye, which leads this morning with a story that the Prime Minister has refused to rule out British military involvement if Israel attacks Iran. Of course, the world is waiting to see what Israel's response will be to those Iranian attacks last week. The paper reporting that Sir Keir Starmer refused to confirm that no British personnel or air bases would be used in Israel's response to Iranian missiles.
This is The Times today. Coroner calls for urgent action to prevent more ME deaths. That's their headline. The Health Secretary and the NHS officials are asked to address what the paper calls non-existent care available to people with ME following the death of 27-year-old Maeve Boothby O'Neill. We're going to be speaking to Maeve's mum, Sarah, later on in the programme.
And finally, the Daily Star this morning leads quite a lot of the papers speculating about whether Nessa and Smithy from BBC's Gavin and Stacey will finally tie the knot in a special one-off episode which will go out on Christmas Day. They've had photographers at the doors of every property in Barry Island, I think, over the last few weeks as filming's gone on. They've seen a few things. I won't say it here.
You don't want to spoil it for
But
everybody.
they don't really spoil it, to be honest.
Oh, don't they?
They sort of
okay.
say, could this mean...
Okay.
Did we see that? But they haven't
But
really...
we just need to not look at the photograph that we've just shown everybody on the telly.
Yeah.
John, it's cold season, as we know, isn't it?
Everyone's ill.
Is everyone ill?
Yeah.
Apart from us?
Yeah.
So far? There might be a reason for that. I'm not ill. I'm definitely not ill. And there's a report in the paper today, John, that you're going to love. It's about whether men and women suffer during a cold in a different way. Is man flu real?
Blokes just get it much harder, don't we?
Oh, John. Actually, men feel the symptoms, according to an immunologist, men feel the symptoms of a cold more than a woman because women tend to have more robust immune systems. Man flu is real.
Real in that we suffer more, or real that we overreact more?
Women are tougher,
Yeah,
I think is
probably
what they're telling
probably
us. Also, my favourite thing, lots and lots of vitamin C, apparently is a very, very good idea and can make your cold go away faster.
Basically, the Times this morning, they've got like endless questions about what you need to know if you've got a cold. My favourite is the one at the end. If you've got a cold, listen to this. The question is, should I feel guilty going back to bed? The answer, not at all.
Oh, that's the best one,
You have
isn't
been
it?
told. The Times say go back to bed.
And watch breakfast.
A decision on whether to go ahead with a £9 billion road crossing between Kent and Essex has been delayed until May. The initial deadline for a decision on the Lower Thames crossing was due to be last Friday. Work on the project started in 2009 and more than £800 million has been spent on planning. Now, the Sterling Prize is considered to be the most prestigious architectural award in the UK, and this year 4 of the 6 nominations are in London. The winner will be announced next week, and ahead of the awards, BBC London is visiting all the capital's nominations. One of those is the redevelopment of King's Cross, preserving the Victorian industrial buildings and infrastructure.
The gas holders were originally south of the canal. They're now behind us, north of the canal. They were dismantled like a piece of Meccano, and then they were re-erected. And inside the frame, instead of the original gas drum, it's now a drum of apartment buildings.
A new statue will be unveiled today of London actor Daniel Kaluuya. The depiction of the Academy Award-winning actor will join statues showcasing the best of British film as part of the scenes in the Square Trail in Leicester Square. The sculpture will show an iconic moment from Jordan Peele's Get Out.
We were out of battery.
And in the dark.
And in the dark with only one head torch.
No food, no water and fighting freezing temperatures. The rescued mountaineers recount their ordeal. So yet another day of drama in the High Court. Wagatham rivals Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy meet again. Daniel Kaluuya on his latest starring role in London's Leicester Square.
I just feel like really blessed that like I can even have a piece of work that people want to watch, let alone people want to memorialise.